Happy college football. Welcome to Porcelain Picks. I'm your host, Andrew Fabian. We are at week 3 of this young season. It's flown by already. Cherish it while we can. We at Porcelain Picks are focused on bringing you the locks you need as you scroll atop the porcelain throne. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you like it. Drop a comment in there. Get involved. Let's spread the wealth. Let's hit these locks together. All right, we're going to dive in. We come to you this week 15-18 overall on the season. We're learning a lot each and every week. There's no excuses. We put the past behind us. We're going to trudge forward with the knowledge that we now have. Very confident on the 15 picks that we're going to deliver for you here in week 3. We've got one Maction lock of the week from Joe Reel. That game's coming up a little bit later. Let's dive in. We've got the Friday night game. I'm going to pick one of these for you, all right? So Arizona at Kansas State. Arizona, we know the high-flying offense that they possess. They've got Noah Fafita at quarterback. They've got Tateria McMillan. I'll get that right again by the end of the year. We're going to be picking these guys a decent amount, I would think, in Big 12 action. These two lead a really entertaining offense for Arizona Wildcats here, throwing the football. On the Kansas State side, you've got Avery Johnson. This is a new quarterback this year, replacing Will Howard. He's more of a running type quarterback. You've got DJ Giddens, great running back on the Kansas State side. So two different styles of offenses coming in. We know that Kansas State got by Tulsa last week. That was a close battle. Arizona had a nice win as well against Northern Arizona after starting out a bit sluggishly. Both of these teams come in 2-0. Something's got to give. All right. We like Arizona in this matchup. I'm just going to dive into that. +7 is a spread that you have right now. I don't think Kansas State's defense possesses the talent on the outsides to face off against this passing game of Arizona. For that reason, take Arizona. I think they could squeeze out a victory in this game, but I do think it's going to be close. Arizona +7, lock it, flush it. I also don't think either defense has an answer to the offense's strength. So I like the over. It's sitting there at 60 and a half points. If you can get it at that, get it at that, lock it, flush it. That's 2 picks for tonight, and we'll dive into Saturday at 2-0. All right, let's hit the noon slate on Saturday. So we got Alabama limping in after a struggling start against South Florida. They ended up pulling away late, but they come up to Wisconsin. So they're traveling to Big Ten country. Granted, it's going to be 85 degrees in Madison, Wisconsin, but props to Bama for heading up to Big Ten territory here early in the year to actually play a true road game. On the Wisconsin side, you've got Luke Fickell, his second year with this air raid offense that he's brought to Wisconsin. They haven't really gotten down with that yet. Haven't gotten it going with the air raid. I think this is a tough spot for Wisconsin. I think the crowd's going to be into it. It's noon, so a little bit of tailgating there in Madison, I think, is going to cause a little delay in that oomph that the fans can bring to the table. But I do think on the Bama side, they're struggling as well. Alabama coming in at a 15.5-point favorite. This spread was down at 7.5 before the season started. So this has skyrocketed since the season got underway. And Alabama's underperformed by all measures here. I think on the Bama side, a lot of that underperformance has come from undisciplined play. That's a lot of flags coming in. We weren't used to that with Nick Saban at the helm, but we need to clean up some loose ends here on the Alabama side to be confident about them moving forward. But I do want to draw one parallel. All right, I talked to you last year after Alabama struggled with South Florida. A lot of that was around whether Jalen Milroe was truly the starter and whether he can excel with Alabama. They proved that they absolutely could. They came out and they beat Ole Miss by 2 touchdowns the next week after struggling with South Florida. So I think the same will hold true this week. I don't think Wisconsin's going to be able to score on Alabama with this air raid offense. Even though Alabama's weak at the cornerback position this year, I think they're going to be able to do enough to possess the ball and take Wisconsin's passing game out of this game. So I think the easy pick here is Alabama -15.5. Lock it, flush it. All right, we'll move on. Memphis at Florida State. So Florida State 0-2 to start the year. They just dropped the game to Boston College after losing to Georgia Tech in Ireland. DJ Uiagalelei is not having a good start to the year. He's not been the answer for Florida State. A lot of transfers coming in. Different story than last year when they went undefeated. This is a tough start for Florida State. I think the running game is going to be what Florida State's got to lean on in this game. They'll get some motion there against Memphis. I think Memphis possesses a lot of star power. They're actually one of my top picks to be the Group of 5 rep here in the playoff. I think the resume boost will be great here for Memphis if they could get a win on the road against Florida State. The better quarterback in this game is on the Memphis side. Seth Hennigan. If you don't know the name, learn it. I think Memphis is coming in, trying to play some big ball so they can do some great things on this big stage against Florida State and hopefully catch some eyeballs from the playoff committee. Take the over in this game. All right, we're not going to go either side. Over 53.5. I think Memphis is going to be able to move the ball. I think Florida State's running game is going to get going. This game is going to be a little bit slow at the start, but I do think this will explode and go over 53.5. Lock it, flush it. Arkansas State at Michigan. Michigan coming off that embarrassing defeat to Texas. They weren't able to put up many points in that game. They scored 13. I think this is really a get-right game for Michigan. They've got to come out and perform. They're in front of their home crowd at noon. I think Arkansas State has had a really great start to the year, but the rushing defense, I should say, is not one of their strengths. They let Central Arkansas and Tulsa run around. Although they won both of those games, they gave up a lot of rushing yards. That's not going to be a good story for them as they face Donovan Edwards and the Michigan squad, who's going to be able to run it all over them. I see Michigan pulling away. This is going to be a blowout. It's 22.5 right now. I think Michigan's going to win by more than 30 in a get-right game in front of the home crowd. Take Michigan minus 22.5. Lock it, flush it. I also like the over in this game. I think Michigan's going to put up, it's at 47.5 right now. I could see Michigan getting there on their own. Again, it's going to be a blowout game. Take the over, 47.5. Lock it, flush it. The last game on the noon slate, we got Boston College traveling to Mizzou to face the Tigers. Missouri is a 14.5 point favorite at the time of this recording. Over under set at 53.5. I think Boston College got that great win against Florida State. It's deteriorated a little bit. I don't think that's as big a win as we expected it to be at the start of the year. But nonetheless, Boston College, great win against Florida State. I think their rushing game has something to prove here against Missouri's defense that can give up some points. Their rush defense on Boston College side, I think, is the strong suit of their defense. That does not match up with the strength of Missouri's offense. I think Brady Cook to Luther Burden. Luther Burden's on the injury report, but I think he's supposed to play. He's probable. But keep an eye on that if you're not taking this until Saturday. But Brady Cook to Luther Burden, look for a couple scores out of the two of them. Take Mizzou, minus 14.5. Lock it, flush it. Also take the over, 53.5. Lock it, flush it. 3:30 slate, we got Notre Dame limping in after a loss to Northern Illinois. They're going to be playing against Purdue. Boilermakers are home in this game. Over-under in this game is what we're going to play. It's 47.5 right now. Notre Dame has Riley Leonard back. He's not injured, he says. They've got a running game that can move the ball. The only strength of their offense, in my opinion. I think on the Purdue side of the ball, I think the passing game is going to be tough. Notre Dame still has that really strong secondary, and Notre Dame's defense is still stout. Last week, you saw Northern Illinois. They were the better team on the field against Notre Dame. They outgained them. It wasn't a fluky win. They just beat them outright. So can Purdue pick up on that blueprint that Northern Illinois had? I think in a sense they will. I think the Irish pull out a win here, but I do like the under in this. Lock it, flush it, 47.5. That's the pick in this game. Let's go. Oregon at Oregon State. All right, it's no longer a Pac-12 rivalry game, but Oregon State, they're going to be looking at this as the big rivalry game. This is their Super Bowl this year as the Pac-12. Got some good news a couple nights ago. They're going to be returning. They're going to be bringing on some new teams into the Pac-12, so that brand will stay alive in college football. But on the field, Oregon State is not going to stay alive in this one. Oregon's going to come in angry. They've had a couple close battles. People are questioning whether they're really a Big Ten front runner anymore. I think this is a get-right game for them, similar to Michigan, although Oregon hasn't lost yet. They've played close games so far against Idaho and Boise State. They finally get out of the state of Idaho, and I think they put up some points here. Take Oregon, minus 16.5. Lock it, flush it. Let's go. Another in-state rivalry game. We got Utah at Utah State. The Utes are a 17.5-point favorite. I like 2 picks in this game. Cam Rising is out. That's why this spread dropped from 20 points down to 17.5. We saw Cam Rising get injured last year, and I picked Utah in a number of matchups where their backups were in. So Utah's used to this. They're a team that gets it done as a team. They're not a team that relies on one player, let alone Cam Rising, who's been injury prone. They're going to run the ball. They're going to play game possession. They're going to possess that for over 35 minutes in this game. Just watch and see. They're going to run the ball. They're going to control the play. On the Utah State side, they put up a goose egg on the offensive side of the football against USC, and we all know USC's defense is nothing to write home about. They went under 200 yards in that game last week as well. I like Utah to pull out an easy win in this game. Take Utah minus 17.5. Lock it, flush it, and then the prop in this game. Take Utah State, team under 13.5. Lock it, flush it. All right, those are the picks for the 3:30 slate. Let's jump to the night game, and we have our Maction Lock of the Week presented by Joey Mack, none other. This guy is hot. He's on fire as usual with his Mac analysis. We've got Eastern Michigan hosting Jacksonville State. Jacksonville State, they're known for having Rich Rodriguez come into this program, take them from the FCS into the FBS. That's been a good experiment for Jacksonville State. They had a good outing last year against Eastern Michigan at home. It was 21-0. But they have some QB issues so far this year. They've lost a lot of talent between last year and this year. On the Eastern Michigan side, it's their home opener. They do well in their home openers. Just ask Joey Mack. They play a smash mouth style of football. They're going to take this one into the trenches. They're going to keep it tough. There might be some penalties floating around. Look for Eastern Michigan to pull out this one. -1, lock it, flush it. All right, another in-state rivalry. We've got Colorado at Colorado State. I'm going to start to pick up the pace here as you're sitting there on your porcelain throne. Shadur and Dion are going to be embarrassed stemming from that defeat at Nebraska last week. They were confident going in. That was not a battle. Nebraska rolled them. It was not close. The better team won easily. I think they're embarrassed. They're going to come out looking to score points. I think they're going to be able to do that against the Colorado State squad that was depleted in the offseason of talent. There's been a lot of trash talk. If you've been watching any college football news, you've seen Colorado State's been really the aggressor in the trash talk in this game week. I think that's going to lead to some penalties. There's going to be some hot-headedness in this game, and I see that taking the score over the 58.5. So lock that, flush it over 58.5. Let's go to Indiana at UCLA. UCLA, the new team in the Big Ten. They're maybe the weakest one of the 4 who just joined. Indiana, they're well coached. They've taken in a lot of transfers who have performed. We call them JMU light. A lot of guys from JMU. They're coming off a solid victory against Florida International. Indiana's coming into this game right now, a 3-point favorite. On the UCLA side, the offense is not sound. They put up 0 in the first half against Hawaii, ended up winning that game 16-13, but ultimately, I don't think UCLA is going to be able to move the ball that great on an improved Indiana team. Take Indiana -3, lock it, and flush it. The last game of the evening, very entertaining. We got the Toledo Rockets traveling to Starkville, Mississippi State playing host. Both offenses fairly fast-paced. Toledo's a little bit more more balanced, I'll say. Mississippi State likes to pick up the pace. They like to really run it and gun it. They lost last week to Arizona State, so they'll look to be trying to make amends for that. Toledo has a solid defense, putting up 42.5 points per game on the offensive side of the ball. Yardage pretty well spread around there. I like Toledo to come in. Right now the spread's at 10.5. I want you to take Toledo 10.5, lock it, flush it. This was a 12.5 point spread earlier in the week, so hopefully you got on that. But we still like Toledo. Play this down to +9.5 here. So those are your picks. That's 15 of them. Let's win this together. We have Porcelain Picks, are hell-bent on delivering the locks you need as you scroll atop the porcelain throne. Thanks for sticking with us all season long. Remember to subscribe, share with a couple friends. Let's win together. Lock it, flush it. Happy college football.